On the blackest nights we sail through fog. Two voices echo from the salty bog. With tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the wheel, listen to the jive. The Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams. In Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Now here's your hosts, Josh and Jillian. Yeah!
But today on the pod, we have the beautiful, talented Catherine Corcoran.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Is that how you say your last
Is that how
name?
you say
Yeah, that's how you say
Corcoran.
it. Really good.
I was like, you do it.
I was literally like, I'm going to ask her before. And then as I was doing the
You
intro,
just
I
were
was
like, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to
wing
go
and
for
hope
it.
the best.
Yeah, it's like the lady from Shark Tank, Barbara Corcoran.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not related. That would be cool. though.
You should tell people.
I could finance movies
I'll tell people
easier.
I'm related to Jennifer Garner sometimes.
Oh,
Or
that's a good
James
idea.
Garner.
When you know when I first moved to New York City, they're a big realty company in New York, and so it was everywhere Corcoran. And I tried to walk into a building once, and just like they like stopped me, and I like showed my ID, and they did let me in.
They did?
Yeah, I don't think the like security guy like put it together, like.
That you didn't work there.
Or that, like, it was just a realty company, and I kind of just, like, awkwardly did a lap and, like, laughed. I didn't, like, know what to do. I didn't think it would work.
I don't think any of those Shark Tank people would invest in a movie.
Yeah,
I think Mark
know,
Cuban
think
might
it's
if you like.
absolutely not. It's way
Mr.
too risky
Wonderful is
of an
definitely not
investment.
gonna.
I say that as I'm, like, actively, like, trying to get things off the ground, but I think...
Just don't waste your time with Mr. Wonderful. That's all I'm saying.
It's like that's not a really smart business choice to make.
I think it's just how you do it, right? It's like anything, like an understanding, like the market stuff and what, Tom is really great at, and you guys here at Anchor Bay are like understanding like where the market's at and what you can get made and what will sell for a certain thing. But I think like a lot of people just don't realize that, and so they'll like try to make something for $5 million that they can't sell for $5 million or $10 million or whatever it is that they can't sell in this.
Well, that's a
market for
bad
that.
idea.
Right, exactly. But a lot of people just don't understand like that's not how things work. And a lot of people also don't understand how things have shifted in terms
Right.
of like how media is bought and consumed now. So like the profit margins you used to see on things is different and it's a longer game.
What advice would you give to like a freshly graduated film student or actor?
Oh my God. If you like this is the advice I got, so it's going to be harsh, but it's good advice. If you like anything else just as much, do that. Because it'll be easier.
Well, yeah, and you won't last. You won't last.
Like if you like anything, if there's anything else that gets you excited, the way movies or theater or like acting or like directing, anything, if there's anything that gets you that excited, go do that. Because it will be less heartbreaking and you have a higher likelihood of success. And it's such harsh advice. But like in that, like when he said that to me, I was like, what do you mean? This is it. This has always been it. And he's like, well, then I guess you're in it, kid. Like, because like.
But the older you get, that advice becomes more and more and more true.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, you get to a point where you get busy with other stuff, other opportunities come by, and you get tested.
Oh, for sure.
Other opportunities come by, and you're like, and it's just another test. It's like, you can make more money doing this. Oh, you can, be more secure doing this.
Yeah.
And and that's how you know. But you don't know when you're super, super young. You're just eager, and you're not thinking about the future. You're thinking about your hunger. And then when you get older, and you are thinking about your future, and you still do it.
Totally.
That's how you know.
Well, and I think the other thing is like keeping it like once it becomes your job, which again is like the miracle, right? When you get to the point where it's like, okay, this is my job, to also keep that same like excitement about it,
Yeah.
That's
Well, because then it's not a dream anymore. Then it's reality.
Well, I think about that all the time because I work a 9-to-5 job on the side, and so those people that work that 9-to-5 and don't have like a career that they're really wanting in the arts or something like that, like they're not in the same company for like 30 years most of the time. Sometimes they are, but a lot of the times it's like, okay, I've been at this company for 5 years. I'm going to go and move on and like get a different job and like get a higher pay. But like in this world, like it's not like, oh, let me just do my job at somewhere else and like maybe progress at it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all or nothing in this line of work. And
I like how Jillian's like my side gig, 9-to-5 job.
I mean, that's pretty nice security. I'm not gonna lie; it sounds pretty good after a couple of years in this town. Like, because also the entertainment industry has just taken like such a hit. Like, we had the pandemic, and then we had 2 strikes, and the media landscape has just shifted. And recently, most of LA was on fire. You know, like we're just rolling with the punches.
There's a funny GIF of all those things you just listed. And it's a dude like in his car. It's like, there's all these strikes, fires, and it's just he takes off his seatbelt while the car's going.
He's just like, wow. I mean, like if there's
all production workers just
like there's a level of insanity to it. Like you have to love it so much because so many people would just go, okay, you know what? It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been real. I'm gonna go to a different company.
I'm gonna go do something else. You know?
Yeah, no, it's
There is something.
You're in it for the ride.
I think there's something very, very depressing about like being at the same job for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, gonna retire.
I mean,
that's just like.
I mean,
I wouldn't though either. Like, I have friends who like I've been at the company for 4 years, and I have a friend who worked there for 6 years, and now he just went on to another company to a bigger job.
No, but I'm talking about like when you're 65 and about to retire, and they give you that cake because you've been there for 40 years.
Well, I mean, my parents are at that. My parents are at that point right now, and it's been a lot of conversations. My mom has had a couple different jobs, you know, in different.
Your mom was a dancer.
She was.
Saw that.
My God! Wow, you guys are like prepped. So she was a dancer when she was younger, and so was my dad was a chef. But
Your dad's a chef.
That's when I got a little old, like neither of them did that. That's how they met, and like creativity's like been part of my family because of that. But they stopped. My dad had this like crazy cooking career, like. The Bear is like a little too close to home for me. Like he's cooked for presidents, rock stars, Michelin star restaurants, like,
that's cool.
And he stopped when I was a kid, like a lot of it having to do for a lot of reasons, but a lot of it also having to do with like security for our family. And then worked for the same company since then that he's now retiring from.
Wow.
And it is this like interesting conversation with him and my mom at this point in their life where they're like, what do we want out of our life? Like what? Like my dad's a lot more like, I'm cool to just like ride this out, you know, and just chill. My mom is very much like, no, this can't be it. Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I think that's a great attitude to have.
Yeah.
Because you're young, so your parents are.
Yeah, they're 60s.
Early 60s.
Yeah.
I think that's a great attitude to have, but I'm also really jealous of your dad.
Right.
You know what?
Like,
it's the peace.
So wait a minute. So your dad. Because that's a crazy business. I've been a sous chef.
Uh-huh.
But that is insane. Being a chef is such a stressful, and it just you love it, but it's also just. But so what did he do for the same company? Did he become like kitchen manager?
No, so he got into like culinary goods distribution. So basically, he could sell the things that people needed in high-end kitchens or just standard kitchens, hotels, because he worked for the Four Seasons and stuff. Like he like knew that world, so could sell that stuff. But it was also like,
but he'd still cook you bomb-ass meals at home, right?
I was very like, I didn't realize how privileged I was until I got a little older. Like that, it's not normal for like dad to like cut up weird like floral strawberries with your bagel for breakfast, like you know, like things like he was really into like farm sharing. Before that was like a cool I don't know what it's called now, where you get like the box of veggies, but we would go to like a farm and pick veggies and things and eat seasonal. Like before that was like something everybody was doing.
Your friends were eating McDonald's.
Oh my God. And that's like always a weird thing to people. We weren't like, you know, it was like a, you know, standard, like I grew up in Philadelphia area. So like, it's not like, you know, crazy wealthy family or anything, even though he was like cooking for these crazy people. So that's like always shocking. It always sounds so bougie when I'm like, I haven't had like a lot of fast food. It's just that he never like we didn't. It cost more than to just make stuff at home, and B, like he like that was his like he just didn't do that.
It used to. Now shopping's pretty expensive too.
Yeah, I know.
Do your parents still live in Philly?
Yeah, they live around there, and they also have I think they might retire in like by the beach in South Jersey. They have a little place there.
Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
How old were you when you moved out to LA?
I moved out to LA 3 years ago. I lived in New York from the time I was 17 until I moved out here.
Wow, what brought you out here?
Work, really. The pandemic like really shifted a lot of things. Like it didn't used to matter kind of where you were. And this is like really weird, but when I was a kid actor, so I'd been like doing this for a while, and when I was looking, my parents were like very big on, they're like the anti-stage parents, like you, to the point where like
Mine were too.
They would annoy my managers and agents because it was like, no, she's missed too much school, or like she's not doing that audition, or like our family can't take that time off, she's not doing that job. It was very much just like a hobby, and that happened to have a little bit of money, like that helped with college, you know. And so when I was looking at, the thing was you had to go to school, and I was looking at schools, I was only looking in New York, Chicago, or LA, because I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I was in between two programs, one in New York and one in LA.
Which ones?
NYU, and then Cal Arts, I want to say out here, Cal Arts. And my a producer friend who had like worked with me for a long time said to me, listen, LA actors work out in the gym, New York actors work out on the stage. There's no right or wrong, but you should decide right now what's more important to you. And like for me, that was like, okay, like he was just saying like LA is very image based and New York is very arts based, and I was like, I'm an artist, I'm going to New York, and that hell, I used to say, like, I was such a snob about it. I would be like I would leave New York kicking and screaming, and then like, and I still love it, but I think the pandemic shifted a lot of that. It used to kind of like you could like when we were doing things in person. For like the big jobs, casting offices would see you on both coasts, and you wouldn't, like, if it got to a point where there was like something filming on a lot, like you'd fly out for that test, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal. That's kind of shifted. And at the time in New York, there used to be really great tax incentives too, where a ton of things filmed in New York, and not really New York City as much, but like I was on this show Gossip Girl that filmed in New York, and then
this
like
tiny show Gossip.
Show, I don't know if you've heard of it.
Well, it was a small part for me, but it was my first like big show. And then like I did a bunch of stuff for like Hallmark and Lifetime, because all of that shot in like upstate New York, so it didn't really matter. But like that tax incentive went away right before, and I think actually they're working to fix that. Pat Kaufman has come out of retirement to like really help with that. The New York State Film Commissioner, but that shifted, and then the pandemic happened, and so it didn't really matter where you were, and it wasn't working for me in the city with my dog and some of like the things that were happening there, and I just like was like, I need like a shift. And there is still this truth, I think, to first market, or like A market, B market, C market. And what, for people who don't know what that is, it's like LA is A market, New York is B market, and Atlanta is C market. And so what ends up happening for casting is like, as from an actor perspective, is a lot of times things will cast out of A or B market, now mostly A market. They won't film in A market though. They'll film elsewhere, but they'll cast the leads out of A market, and then they'll fill in the other things out of the other two markets or wherever they're filming. And when that happens, actually a big problem. Like actors in Atlanta, for example, don't get paid as much as actors in LA for things. So it's just like it's a better business move.
Living expenses aren't as much in Atlanta, right?
That's true, but the
fires,
yeah,
and the
right. But you know, that really shouldn't matter if you think about it. Like the production is shooting where the production is shooting, and the actors are doing the same job no matter where they are. So it shouldn't matter if you hire, you know, locally. The rate should be the same. You know what I mean?
Stag rates no matter
they
what.
think of it.
But that's
they think
just
of every way
that's
to
not
make
how
money.
it works. Yeah,
To save money.
Look, I'm not the powers that be that dictate that, but that's just like traditionally how it works. Now there are productions who don't do that, but that's just like.
Well, I know that there's been like some talk, like two things. One, like with the back-to-back strikes and COVID and the fires, like I know people that are like begging to bring production back to LA.
And I
like,
think
we need
the governor
it.
did
It's the
put something.
incentives.
Well, the governor did. I'm gonna like butcher what he actually did, but he did put something in place to bring it back right before the fires.
Thank God.
We'll see like how that
But
works.
the problem is all the big budget studios. Like it depends if there's no with with Georgia and Louisiana, there's no set cap on the incentive.
But politically now, I know that there are families that are like, I'm not going to bring my pregnant wife to a state where if God forbid something happens, she's not going to get the proper care. Like, I know a lot of people are like, I'm not going to bring my family, like to move my family out to Louisiana or Georgia for 9 months.
Yeah. Well,
I think it depends on the project, right? Like if it's a film, and things are shooting faster now. Like it used to when it's so wild to say this because like it hasn't been that long, but like
12 days.
When my very first lead in a feature, that was a month and a half. That was a month and a half for that feature, and like that was normal. Now it's like 10 days, 15 days. Right. When I remember like I did one film and I told them we shot it in 10 days, everyone was like, "What?" The first time I did that. Yeah. This is
what? I mean,
I've never done an interview where everyone like knows what I'm talking about.
We're from Philly.
We there's the energy in this room. You know, we just kind of like.
Well, that at the time,
long lost is one location,
and that wasn't that long ago. That was 2016, 2017. Everyone was like, "You guys are insane. That's wild. How did you do that?" Blah 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 blah. Now that's how it goes. Yeah. You know.
But is that put pressure on that now? But you got to bring your A game because.
Yeah.
I mean, as an actor, I mean, obviously,
I think everybody does.
Obviously, the technical aspect too. Like you got to bring your A game as a cinematographer too. You know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because like, you know, we used to shoot on film, so you had to do it that way because every take cost money. You still right?
You still can shoot on film.
Because you still can, but by and large, people do not.
But it sounds like people are treating it like film if they're shooting quickly.
It kind of is like that's what I've never thought about it until just now. But that is kind of what it's like because you don't have time to mess around.
I just tell the actors it's film. Like no, it looks like a video. It's just this is film, okay?
You're just sitting there. Oh my god!
We have like a fake magazine. You know,
it's like,
but
guys, you know, like that's such
a.
I mean, it's interesting because like, and most you don't have the luxury to do this on most things budget wise anyway. But like that first film that I did, even though we did it over the course of like a month and a half, was Lloyd Kaufman's first film on digital. So he made us rehearse everything because he was so used to working on film. He would rehearse for a whole week in the lead up. And how he would also cast was a kind of a rehearsal process was he would cast certain characters and then start building the ensemble around the character. So he would ask if you would come in and like, he wouldn't like totally say you had the part like and keep reading, and that's how he was like building the world. And it did two things. It like it was a long casting process that worked in like how everybody melded together really well, but also in that it allowed us to get really familiar with the material. So then the rehearsals, like everyone kind of already knew what they were doing by the time you got on set. Everybody knew.
I love that. I'm all for that always. It's even a table read to get the pacing and the tone of the script.
Oh yeah,
just one. You know, like we did for Turning Point, but we did it digital. We did it like on Zoom.
This was 2021,
which is
like April.
It was better than nothing, but it was like damn.
But it's you don't have that like.
You know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So are you saying Return to Nukem High was Lloyd Kaufman's first digital movie?
Yeah,
what year was that?
2013.
It came out 2013. The first one came out 2013. We filmed in 2012.
Which, by the way, if you had come to L.A., you wouldn't have gotten that, right? Because that's Jersey-based, right? I mean...
They're New York-based. They're in Queens, I think, is their offices. But
I thought Troma was Jersey. No,
Tromaville, New Jersey is the mythos, but the company is near.
Right.
They did have.
I get them mixed up.
They did have. I just know this all like because I spent so much time there, and I loved it. That was an Anchor Bay film.
I know.
Actually, yeah, and
crazy film.
Yeah,
by the way.
It was kind of wild. It got into Cannes. Like it was pretty wild.
Did. Jillian said it won something at Cannes.
I don't know.
I don't know if it won anything.
She said it won the Palme d'Or.
I don't remember that, but I do remember. I remember we were called the first lesbian wedding in France because gay marriage was legal 3 days before, and we performed we tried to perform a wedding ceremony on the Croisette. One of the things with them is they're big on the theatrics because they are this indie company and they have to compete at Cannes against these studio films that are there. Great Gatsby was there that year. Hunger Games was there. You know, like, so they have to compete against this. And so the way that they do it is they do all these like big theatrics.
Wow.
It's really cute.
I can't believe like Hunger Games is there and you're like, I'm fucking a duck and having a monster baby in my movie.
Well, it was kind of like this whole, they like did all this street performance, and like part of it was that they, like that's how they got attention on the film. And we were a queer story at a time when that was not legal in the United States and was not being shown in like high school stories. And that was like a whole thing. It's like trauma films are horror comedies, and nobody is safe in a Lloyd Kaufman film. Like he will attack everybody, but like we made it a very, very distinct choice that like the queer relationship in the film was not going to be made fun of. That was like the only thing we were not going to make fun of, and we were just going to play that as it was. And that was like the note that the reviewers were saying at Cannes. And we were trying to do this lesbian wedding ceremony because gay marriage had become legal there, and we got stopped the morning of. We handed out invitations and everything all up and down the Croisette, and we got stopped by the French intelligence, which were these guys in suits, which we later found out like there is no French intelligence, and like the like what they call themselves is like not that. So like the equivalent, like the French FBI or whatever. Yeah. So it like was very strange. But they told us that they were afraid of riots and that we could not do it. And so my co-star and I.
This was during the festival.
Yeah. My co-star and I laid in the symbol of the festival and like was on the ground and kissed. And of course, the press was already there because we had announced that we were doing this. So they took all these pictures, and of course, that got like way more attention than if they had just like let us do the damn wedding, you know. And so eventually, like under pressure, and there were people that would protest outside of the hotel that we like stood on, like pro-family party kind of people. And eventually, like under pressure, the festival like let us do the wedding ceremony, but like in the Marché du film, which is like under the big theater that everybody sees like the pictures of. But, you know, Le Figaro was there and the press was there, and they called it the first lesbian wedding ceremony in France. It's not legal. I'm not legally married, but like that, but I do wear that as like, as a queer person, as like a badge of honor for sure.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
So you guys, but it was to promote, well, it was promote the film, but also to promote the movement.
Well, it was just like to support,
support the movement.
I mean, like the thing with Troma is like it's like and also like the Newcomb High story is like it's a story about being othered. You know, that's the entire premise of the original Newcomb High film, and is like a play on like Reefer Madness. Oh, right. I think the return makes a lot more sense if you see the original, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's all about these like nerds who like similar to Return who become the monsters, right?
Yeah,
because they're othered. That's like what Troma is, right? Is like it's this place like for misfits, and it's a very punk rock film company. Like everybody who like comes through there, that's like part of the ethos, and it does like have a lot of queer people on it, and you know like even we had trans and non-binary actors all over that film. And like we were having conversations in, you know, production meetings every day about pronouns. That was the first time for me as like an 18-year-old that I had ever really even thought about that, you know?
Were you asked your sexuality before auditioning? Was it before that?
No, that wasn't like part of it.
Okay.
But it was definitely like the press run of it was hard on me because I still was coming to terms with like my sexuality, and it was in a pre-Me Too time. So I was doing like interviews at like 18 with like Mr. Skin and like late night Showtime shows, which was like a thing at the time. And they were like, you know, really wanting me like to like have like just to say things that were provocative or to have like, and I had like such little sexual experience at all. Like I couldn't even like, you know, I couldn't even tell you, I didn't even know enough about sex to like, be able to comment. Yeah. Like it was really like kind of wild. So that was tough, but I mean, yeah. It was such a weird ride.
Yeah. I only asked that question because I know like right around that time was when they started being like, we only want queer people for these queer characters.
Yeah.
So I know now they're very
I
open
definitely
about
didn't
asking.
identify as queer at the time. No, like at least not public. Like I think when people like asked, I would just be like, well, you know, I'm 18, so I've only had relationships with men. That's not to say like I couldn't have a relationship with a woman. It just hasn't happened for me yet. And people would say things like, well, that's appropriately vague. And I'd be like, yeah, well, like, isn't sexuality? It's just kind of like figuring it out, you know? But no, they didn't, that was not part of it. And, you know, I think there's a line for all of that. Like, I definitely think we need to represent more diverse people on screen. I think there's something to be said with identifying with people, you know, that look like you, that sound like you. That's so huge and so definitive for people. But I also think in terms of sexuality, it's our job to be able to showcase the human condition. So like I should be able to portray a straight relationship the same way I would portray a queer relationship. That's the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Too. If you can relate to the feeling that character is feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just being a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and nobody asks you, like, you know, when you're, like, playing a murder or something, they're like, oh, but you must actually have murdered someone.
Yeah. Or you're playing a mom. They're like, well, do you have a kid?
Well, I mean, but it comes up in, like, all sorts of levels. Like, I always feel weird about mother roles because I don't understand that. Totally.
Well, that's why it was interesting talking to Augie last time because she did a film where she had to be a mother and she was like, I wasn't a mom at that time, but now that I am a mom, like I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I got to do that scene again.
And
I was like, yeah, I would also.
I'm sure she will.
Like, but again, it's like anything, like you're like we're talking about a film that I did when I was 18 years old, right? Like that, like 18-year-old me as an artist and an actor and it like just in life experiences is very different than 30-year-old me, you know, and the character, like the way I'm going to approach something is going to be different. The way you are going to because we've just had life experience. Even 6 months from now, who we are is so different, you know? So like I can portray like motherhood the way I understand it now, but like 10 years from now, that might be completely different.
Right.
Was Return of Nukem High your first big film?
No, I had done this film, The Lovely Bones. I had a small part in that. Movie. But no. I had a small part in it, but it was my first lead in a feature. So like I was doing the typical like actor thing at that point where you do these little roles, you do your co-stars, your guest stars, you like kind of cut your teeth. And that was the first one where someone was like, here's like something to really like sink your teeth into. And I am still incredibly grateful to Lloyd for that because I mean it's after that, like it kind of was off to the races, and it was like he took a chance on me before anybody else.
I've met him. I met him at Sundance. He's is he still? I mean, do you still keep in touch with him?
All the time. Yeah,
really?
I love his family.
What's going on with the new Toxic Avenger?
It's coming out. You know that?
No.
This was announced yesterday. It's huge.
It was announced yesterday?
It's huge. I'm so excited for him.
Oh, I was going to say Anchor Bake.
Oh my God! No, I'm so excited for him.
Is there a trailer? I
have not seen it. I've not seen a trailer. I just saw the Variety announcement yesterday.
No, what's happening?
It just happened yesterday. It was huge. So there was a this happens sometimes where films get shelved because for whatever the production spends on it, they're like, we're not going to get our money back. And
we know we have a shelved movie.
Yeah, and this happens, and it happens all the time. And but you know, Lloyd has been trying to get this, or Lloyd has had back and forth about the like big budget remake of the Toxic Avenger has been like in the works for years. When we for example, when we were at Cannes with Nukem High, they also announced another version of that is not the one that is getting released, but of the Toxic Avenger that had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Toxic Avenger. Like,
wait, is that true? Is that true?
Yeah,
that's
going
to happen.
No, that never happened. But it was announced. Like, it was going to. Like, he's been like through so much with it.
So based on. So you don't know the Toxic? Do you know the Toxic Avenger?
No.
All right.
Okay.
So Catherine just said Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to play the Toxic Avenger.
At one point.
Yeah, at one point. But don't tell Jillian. Just guess who plays the Toxic Avenger in this one.
Actually, guess
it's
right
like,
now.
It's like
if it's not Arnold Schwarzenegger,
the last person you could think of when you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The absolute opposite of Arnold Schwarzenegger would be like Michael Cera.
No, that's not far, but it's Peter Dinklage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like and
crazy.
So anyway, it's this one has so they finally have it. It's Peter Dinklage, it's Elijah Wood, like it's a bang up cast. Macon Blair.
I'm sorry, Macon Blair.
He's
Macon
like people
Blair
know him from like Sausage Party, which feels like so aligned with Troma humor. Like it's such a good like
that was the animated movie.
No, I know Sausage Party. Did he
that was that company, I think. And
because he was in what's that movie? Blue Ruin.
Oh.
Blue Ruin.
I'm so Blue Velvet brain right
yeah,
now.
I know. And David Lynch.
I just watched it last night too.
Oh no,
it's so good.
But yeah, so it's like
Blair. Yeah, good for him.
Well, so it wasn't gonna. Well, they made this movie and they showed it at. I didn't get to see it. I was so bummed. They showed it at Beyond Fest. They showed it at Fantastic Fest, and then it was just gonna get shelved. And Cineverse is releasing it. And they're releasing it theatrically. Cineverse is the company that very famously has like kind of had this big come up with the Terrifier films, and so like this is like it like they're kind of championing indie filmmakers, yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for him because when I found out that they were going to shelve it, I was just like so heartbroken. That man, like in the fullness of time, Lloyd Kaufman will go down as one of the like great auteurs of cinema. It may not happen in his lifetime, but like the people that have come through,
he's
Lloyd,
like Roger Corman. He's like Roger Corman, where he creates careers, he creates opportunities.
Like James Gunn wrote and directed 2 films for Lloyd. Wrote like an intro to his book. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's first film was through Troma.
Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah. Marissa Tomei's, one of her early films was there. Samuel L. Jackson. Like, the list is just, like, unbelievable of, like, people that have, like, come through this company. And, like, Lloyd he just takes risks on people before, like, anyone else.
That's cool.
And it's a good intro, right? Now, going from a Troma movie to, like, you know, like a Hollywood movie or something, you bring... Yeah, I mean, what do you bring? What kind of experience? What kind of learning experience do you bring to that? Because Lloyd Kaufman's been directing, and he doesn't direct them all. I mean, he produces them. He's a president of the company, but he also directs some. Yeah. He did direct Return to Nukem High.
Yeah,
right?
I always say I feel like this is kind of biased, but I do feel like some of the best Troma movies come from Lloyd. Not all. There are some that are great. Like the original Return to Nukem High is a great film, and he did not direct that.
Sergeant Kabuki Man.
I
like Romeo and Juliet.
That's James Gunn.
James Gunn.
That's James Gunn. He also I also really like Surf Nazis Must Die, and that's that's not Lloyd. But the Toxic Avenger is Lloyd, which is their like calling card.
Toxic Avenger, yeah.
Yeah, and all of his films. I always joke that they're very stupid films for smart people. So like they're like the Toxic Avenger is very much like a play on a superhero, like a flawed superhero. It's also an environmentalist commentary.
He's a janitor, but in the new one, he's not a janitor. In the new one, I
haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Oh, I just read I was reading the synopsis, and I was...
The new what?
The new Toxic Avenger. He's not a janitor. I don't think he's...
But he's supposed to be like a nerd, because Melvin the mop boy, he like wasn't even totally a janitor in it. He's a
Troma janitor.
Yeah, like he's just like mopping the gym.
I can't wait to show you this trailer to this.
Yeah, oh my God, like it's really good. And there's a lot of things that like Quentin Tarantino cites Lloyd as like teaching him about like how to do like certain effect shots, and there's like things that Lloyd did in his movies that like you now see like in the Toxic Avenger that are like staples in superhero movies. Like he's like certain shots, like the like spitting of like a newspaper for a headline. That's a Lloyd shot. Classic. Like, you know, things like that, like a head crush. You see those in Tarantino's all the time. That's a Lloyd shot. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you've seen the Nukem High movies. I mean,
I lived in that world for 3 hours straight.
A lot of them. I mean, but
overwhelming.
You can see why he likes to do like rehearsal and stuff like that. Have to rehearse. There's a lot of things going on, like the characters in the background, the this, the that, like just
it's very like. Yeah,
little,
it's like they're meant to be
subtle,
seen it's there's nothing like it. Like he calls the background actors actor persons, and he encourages them to come up with their own characters and like lean
in the theater.
into it. Yeah,
That's cool.
like lean into it. It's really cool.
Like in Return to Nukem High, how about that blind
ensemble?
The blind guy.
Yeah.
When they walk through the metal detector, and then there's the blind guy like patting people down.
Yeah, that guy was if I'm not mistaken, I think that guy was like a lot of those actors were like haunted house actors that worked up there.
That's funny.
So they created their own characters and had their own costumes, and
that's sick.
He loves that. Like
I love
that's
that.
like I've never worked on a project since that's ever done that. I've come back and done like cameos for them, and like it's always
that's like
that.
when you're in rehearsals for a musical and you're in the ensemble and they're like, well, maybe you love what she said and you hate what she just said and you're confused about what she just said.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
Why are you saying it like an old like a 40s theater actor?
Theater, his transatlantic accent. The theater. Duh.
Funny.
That duck scene in Return to Nukem High where you're running for like, I don't know, 10 minutes with a duck in your mouth. I was literally gagging as I was watching because I was like, oh, my gag reflex could never do this scene.
I still don't like, to be honest with you, I still don't understand like why we did that, but we did. Like, and how she got pregnant that way. The science isn't sciencing. I think they try to address it in there. They do like a little bit on it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in so long. But yeah, that was funny.
Were you? I have a question.
Like, all right. Go for it.
Like, I was overwhelmed watching the movie. I can't imagine what it would be like filming those scenes. But was it just like so much all the time that you guys were just kind of desensitized to everything? Or while you were making it, were you aware of like how insane it was going to look?
I think it was a little bit of both. Like, it was the first time I had ever started in something. So it was the first time I'd ever been there for everything.
Yeah. So
like there's something like so exciting every time when that happens. It's also like we filmed we were all living in a funeral home that was also the production office, that was also the effects like thing. It was like this crazy place.
Camp?
It was like summer camp. It was like, and I was 18. Home. I was not that like removed from that time in my life, you know. Yeah. So I think like as I've looked back, I'm like, there are things I would have like we should not have done, but
like we should have been in a Holiday Inn.
I don't know about that, but like because I've definitely like done union jobs where we've all lived in the same house, but like hindsight's always 20/20, but at the time, I was having a great time.
And you shot volume 1 and 2 back to back at the same time, right?
We shot it all. This might be
at the same time.
This might be some Anchor Bay lore.
Like
so
Superman
I don't know
1
if
and 2.
I'm gonna
dropping lore.
I don't know if I'm gonna be like saying this correctly, but so my understanding was that, and Tom might have to be able to weigh in on this, is that Starz Anchor Bay, they were together at the time, gave Lloyd money for one film. And it was long. And Lloyd was they cut it and it was 2 hours. And Lloyd and everyone was like, this is a great movie at 2 hours. And Lloyd was convinced that nobody was going to watch a 2-hour Troma movie. He was like, absolutely not. No one's going to watch it. But they couldn't cut it down to get it to 90 minutes. They were missing so much plot points. And he was like, well, whatever. We'll make it 2 movies. It's 2 movies. But so they had the first 90 minutes and then only a half hour of the second film. So then they had a whole hour to like make up for. And my understanding is Anchor Bay and Starz was not going to give them more money.
Oh, I was going to say, were they just under budget and had
They
enough
were
money
not going to give them more money for this second film because they contracted one film. And so we spent like the next like 6 or so years doing pickups for that second film. That's why that second film is so like all over the place.
Wow.
We shot
what?
Yeah.
Years.
That's why it didn't come out till like years later.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I was gonna say
it did come out 4 years later. But damn, that's insane. That's a long time living with that character.
I mean, yeah, I would just get called in, and I think even that for that like might be wrong. Like maybe it's screened somewhere as but like we because I remember because it showed at the Museum of the Moving Image, the second film, and the night before was the Terrifier premiere at Lincoln Center. So that was 2017. So yeah, it was like 5 years. 5 years before so you're right, 4 years of it. Like
that's
it felt
crazy.
longer, I guess, in my head.
Did you go right from filming this into filming Terrifier?
Pretty much, yeah. It was like it was this. That's how that happened.
Were you like, this is easy? I've done some crazy shit.
I think Terrifier was crazier. Terrifier was much more dangerous.
Oh.
That's like not as like you know, we did a lot of things that I think, you know, Damien has all open. We've all talked about that we should not have done, and that were very scary. And I got very hurt filming Terrifier. But I think I was. There are so many times we joke about this. There were so many times on Terrifier that I should have just walked away, and any sane person would have just walked away. And because I had done Troma, I didn't. I just like kept going, and so it was like my the success of it, but also my like tragic downfall, I guess.
What was one of the bad days?
Well, my first day on the job, they glued me to a table, and they couldn't get me out. And Phil was in the other room being like, I think we're going to have to call the fire department. Like, I don't, like, I'm not kidding.
What do you mean they couldn't, like, your skin was sticking to the table? They used, like, Gorilla Glue?
So the reason I know Damien is because one of the effects artists and, like, kind of legendary Troma people who recently passed away was my friend Doug Sackman. And Damien had done one of Doug Sackman's events that he did for like aspiring effects artists. And so when he found out that Damien was like trying to make a movie, he like kind of looped me all in with them. And so there was this period of time. And to be fair, like Troma, we had a similar issue. There was this period of time where they thought for life casts, and now we don't even have to do this. You can just do body scans digitally. But you used to have to cast your whole body in if you were doing like effects in like ultra slime or like what's called alginate, and there was this at that time there was like rumor or like style where people would put a silicone right on your body. So the way that it works is you do an alginate cast, you fill it with plaster, and then you take the plaster out, and on that positive you put the silicone, and that's how you make the mold, so you can make all the silicone is what holds. And so people were saying you could put it right on your body. And I had seen this happen when we were doing effects casting for Newcomb High. They did not do it to me, but they tried it on another girl, and she was in a lot of pain. And I remember that because this girl is also a suspension body artist, which is someone who hangs from hooks. So I trust that woman's pain threshold, you know? Sure. And so we couldn't, when we were doing the body cast for the hacksaw scene in Terrifier, we couldn't get the alginate on fast enough. There wasn't enough people. It was drying too fast. So we were like, oh, well, we can try this silicone style. And I remember being like, I've seen this. I don't think so. And Damien being like, no, it's Troma. They just didn't do it right. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like,
he said, what? It's Troma. They didn't do it right.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know about that. And we did it. I know it was. We did it, and it stuck. They had me laying on a what do you call it? Like 2x4. What do you call that? Wood? Plywood?
Plywood?
They had me like laying on it on like a big thing of plywood, and it wouldn't come up. It was stuck. And
that's scary.
Oh my god!
And like they had to like it was like a full body wax to get this thing off, and it was painful.
And the budget for Terrifier wasn't
$30,000. It was painful.
That's it.
That was day one. Was day one. Like,
wait.
Well, hold on, but he had already done All Hallows Eve.
That was shorts.
Okay. I thought All Hallows Eve. I thought the other one was a short.
No, they're all shorts.
There were two, right?
There's All Hallows Eve.
I thought All Hallows Eve was
which I to this day have not seen. But
I obviously haven't either. But I thought that one was a feature, and the one before that was a short.
No, they're all shorts. So then like that was day one, and they joked that they were like shocked that I came back.
$30,000, and what's the budget of 3?
And then there's like the 3. Well, I know what the budget is on that. I don't think I can like.
No,
say
I know.
What that is. But there is what they've released. What the budget.
I'm just saying, good on him. I mean, good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's wildly impressive. Like for how the money it has made for where we started is out of this world.
Jillian hasn't watched it.
You don't have
to.
It's okay.
I want to.
I will say so. for like the thing that like they say like made these films like take off was that what we were casting my body for was for this like hacksaw scene.
Okay.
That they say was like such a like crazy thing.
That is a fucking
and
crazy
that's what
scene.
like made that's what everybody talked about, and that's what like made it like such a big deal. And they like were kept like now they like continuously try to top it. And
that scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it's pretty wild. It's also like it was very dangerous. Like I could have died. Like that's not an exaggeration. And we've talked about it publicly. Like
what about it?
Well, because we were hanging me from. You're not supposed to do it this way, and we've all talked about this. Oh,
Josh,
it's like,
Josh, why would you do that?
It's okay. I've only sat through it like 3 times in my entire life.
Josh, I can't do clowns.
It's okay.
I can't do clowns. That's the one thing that I actually like.
I tried.
I have never.
I tried here live on air.
I really can't. Like it's the one thing that like
it's not just
spiders, give me snakes, give me death.
The
give me
clown
heights.
is the least of your worries in this
I
scene.
mean, well, like honestly, like because it was like a near death experience, I've only watched it like 3 times all the way through, and the most recent time I was paid to watch it. So like,
I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I'm really afraid of clowns. And they're like, yeah, okay. I'm like,
no,
I'm like really.
It's okay. I'd be honest with you, I have not seen the other films.
Well, but I think about it, and I'm like, I literally just looked at Josh and I was like, what if I could cast in a clown movie? Like, I'm gonna have to go through hypnotherapy. So
they
that's
do.
the movie idea.
I mean, I think they do make a lot of these creepy clown movies.
I know I can't.
Well, do you guys? There was that clown like that was showing up in like Wisconsin or something at nighttime on the streets, like like on the road. Yeah,
my buddy's a performance artist who was doing that as a joke in New York. It was really funny. Cops kept
it was really funny.
Hilarious.
Until it wasn't.
That's
also,
so
there's
funny.
I think there's a film that's in like Sundance or South by right now called Clown in a Cornfield. I don't know. I just the title, like I don't know what it's about. But the title, I think
I've
it's
seen a trailer for
IFC.
that.
The title or RLJ. The title, like,
I mean,
got my
brilliant. Fucking clown and a cornfield. Those are both scary.
I was just like, oh wow.
What about Scarecrow in a circus?
I'd rather a scarecrow than a clown.
The sequel. I don't think that would be as scary. All right, I'm going to ask you about this phenomenon. Okay. Is it true? Because I did try to look it up. Like, you're the first Art the Clown kill on screen.
I don't know.
For the feature, but I guess there were. I was told this, but I guess there are short films.
I know I'm considered like the most brutal.
The most brutal kill.
They always try to top it, but everybody is like, that's the one.
You know what? I haven't seen the other two, but seeing that kill scene, I was like, how could this be topped?
I mean, they try. You know, I know they try.
Like they try.
I have not seen, but my understanding, I did meet I forget his last name, Mason, who's the one actor in that. They do a shower scene and spoilers in the 3rd film, and I think there's like a tribute to my scene that has to do with him. I know that Mason was very, very nice, and then Casey, who's it has this sequence. It's called the bedroom sequence in the 2nd film. But I think, like, in terms of, like, the list, like, it's hard to, like, it's hard to, when you know something's coming, like, what is interesting, what the first film does that's, like, interesting, whether you like it or not, is that it takes all these, like, it does all this stuff that you don't expect it to do, right? It's, like, clearly an homage to the 1980s, like, slashers of the time, right? You think there's going to be a final girl character. There isn't. You think that they're going to cut away. They don't. You think that it's like a slasher film and he has a gun. Like, it's all these things that like are not, like, it turns it on its head. And so I think once you know that that's what's going to happen, it's hard to have that same like shock value because you know what you're going into. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think it's like, I don't think it has anything to do with like the film's performance. It's just like, you know, everyone knows what they're going into, so they like, it's hard to shock.
Regardless, it sounds like it hasn't affected the
turnout. No, it just gets bigger and bigger.
The success
and I
of the
don't
next
understand.
two.
To this, I'm
is
very
he doing
grateful.
a 4th one?
Oh yeah.
Is he ever gonna do? What do you think if Damien wants to do like a drama?
Oh, he'd love to do anything that's not Terrifier. I know he would.
But it's just like making.
But I think
Well, if you make Terrifier 4 in 10 years, it might not be.
I mean, I know he said that this is like questions for him, but I know he said that like he wants to wrap it up for now with the 4th. Whether that'll hold true or not, you'll have to see. I think it's one of those things where it's like you've got like. You gotta strike while the iron's hot, you know. So you
lightning
gotta
in a bottle.
But like any creative, like I mean, that man was sick of this film when he made the second one. He didn't want to make it. You know what I mean? All of us, we're all like
this damn clown.
Well,
because you got a lot of ideas going around.
Well, all of us as creatives, you want to do other stuff, you know, and it's amazing when people resonate with your work, but you want to do other things. So like, I'm excited. It's really cool that the success keeps happening. I'm excited that it just gets bigger and bigger every year. That another one comes out. The original also gets bigger, which is kind of wild and unexpected. And like, I think, but I'm also excited to see what else when he gets to do other things. What happens?
Free.
Can
fly away.
I think in the 4th one, and this is just my idea.
You want to pitch it? Go ahead.
I think in the 4th one, nobody dies. Except Art the Clown.
It's supernatural, right? So characters can come back.
Oh, right.
And we've talked about this, and like I've said to Damien, when I come back, I want a conveyor belt of castration, like helmed by my character, like whoosh, whoosh. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the revenge that she deserves.
Your
conveyor
character?
Belt of castration.
Yeah, because she sawed in half this. You know what I mean? Vertically.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the only justice is for her, is to give her a scene where she's just like.
Do you think she's got to be the one to take him down? That character?
I don't know, but I want the conveyor belt.
She should be like. She should be like.
I don't care.
She should be sewn up. Sewn up
right,
like
he
Nightmare
says
Before
it's too
Christmas.
Much.
Style.
I'm like
girl in Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Monica Bellucci.
He says it's too much, and I'm like, oh, do you know?
It's too much.
I almost
Who said that's too much?
I almost died on this set. Give me the conveyor belt.
Like. It's too much. I'm like, do you know who you're talking to at this point? Like, what?
You owe me.
Wow.
Too much from you? I don't know.
So you're upside down. I saw that part.
Yeah.
And you were filming upside down for how
so
long?
you're not supposed to off and on for 10 hours. So the way that we did it, which is not how you're supposed to do this, and we've talked about this publicly, like this is not a secret.
Yeah, I heard,
Yeah, we like basically it was a condemned building in January. There was no heat, there was no running water. And in New York, so it was like 20 degrees, and instead, like there was no rig, there was no budget or anything. So I get there, and it's just this like pole kind of setup, and they're with like BDSM shackles in it, and that was it.
And how big's the crew?
5 people, 6 people, and they're like gonna hang me from that. And I was in the beginning of my stunt training at the time. Now I'm like stunt trained, and I am what's called an action actor, so I do a lot of my own stunts. And I knew that you couldn't be upside down for that long without like risking seizure. So we came up with like a compromise, and we built this like kind of like makeshift thing back on the plywood, like where they would like I would go down, I would like they would yell action, I would reverse crunch down, and they'd go for like 45 seconds or whatever the time limit. I think it was like 42 seconds. They'd yell cut. Someone would come in and lift me back up on the plywood, and I would just stay there like that with my legs in the air. And we did that. We never really got down for about 10 hours. And what happens like when you're doing that is like, it's like I wasn't far enough in my expertise, and there was no like stunt coordinator or anything like that. So like I didn't like realize this. Like what happens is like you're going down, and blood is rushing to your head, and then you're just laying on your back, so blood's pooling in your body, and then you go down again, and blood is rushing to your head and just pooling in your body. And somewhere like towards the end of it, I started like feeling really nauseous. So there's one close up where I'm like hanging off a table because I asked to get down. And then, I like baby wiped off. My hair was still pink. I was in a bathrobe, like pink, her hair was still red, pink face with David, who still had the black under his eyes, David Howard Thornton, who plays the clown. And we got on the Staten Island ferry at 6 o'clock in the morning while everyone's like going to Wall Street, looking like God knows what. Nobody said a word to us because that is New York City. Yeah. And like, so I went home and showered and everything. And the next couple days, I was like really sick, like the sickest I'd ever been in my life. And I was like also like really, really dizzy, and I couldn't like figure out why. So I went to the doctor and I had to like explain what had happened. And he was like, all right, well, you have strep throat. That makes sense. Condemned building. No, okay. And he's like, but like walk me through this process. And I did. And he goes, okay, so here's the thing. Yes and no, like explained how like blood is rushing, like that's a good marker, but not enough. And that nausea feeling, that's usually a really good indicator that you're about to have a seizure, because what's happened is you're experiencing cranial swelling when you're going down like that, and a lot of pressure because of the cold. And so now your ear, the swelling has gone down. So it's a good on you for saying something, because if you didn't, like, there's no way we would have gotten me out in time. That's just like, there's no way. But now your eardrums are not where they're supposed. They've moved in the swelling, and now the swelling is gone, and they're not where they're supposed to be because you have strep throat and there's an infection there, and that controls your equilibrium. So I had to like, this is like so like ridiculous. I had to like, take an antibiotic for like that to go away, and then they had to do like a minor medical procedure where they went inside the back of my ear and like moved my eardrums back into place.
Damn, dude, that's an insane story.
Did it mess with your hearing?
It still does, yeah.
Oh, it still does.
I mean, I like wow. I'm getting more confident about it, but I like it's I think a lot of it just in my like head, but yeah, I still
literally.
Get, like, yeah, literally, but I still get like issues. Like every time I'm sick, it's a problem. I have ear problems.
Oh my God.
It's like it's kind of wild, but that's why it's like so important. Like there is this like hero story about these like little films that like this is it's wild for it's now valued at like $200 million or something like that, the franchise, and like we made the original film for $30,000, but like it's also like important that people learn kind of like from like there's a reason we don't make movies for that low, and like there's a reason that like we need to push for bigger budgets on things and be selling things for more, and like the streamers need to buy things for more, because like everything worked out okay. I've recovered. We're all friends. Like it made a lot of money.
People really, really like that scene.
But like, yeah, but like it could have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not, we should never be in situations like that.
No, and thank God you advocated for yourself and was like, hey guys, I don't feel well, and I'm not going to keep doing this scene the way that I feel right now.
I mean, I think it's like, but it's so hard when you're like, you know, you just want to be like, especially when you're young, like, yeah. You don't want to be difficult. No, you just want to keep, and everyone tells you, you know, if you like, that's the other thing I think a lot of people don't realize around like doing nudity young and stuff, like pre-Me Too, like if you didn't do it, you weren't getting the job. Yeah. It wasn't like a conversation. Yeah. You know, so it's just kind of like,
and then you're afraid you're not going to get the next job.
Yeah. So it's like a very like, it's a big, like safety is such a big thing for me now, for everyone. I just think it's like you're so like it's never worth the shot.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean? Like you will get the shot. Trust me, it's never worth it. Even it, and like I hope your movie makes $200 million.
Yeah.
You know what
I
mean?
I was gonna say
but,
at least
it's
making a lot of money.
You can still do that.
I know.
But I will say, to bring it full circle, Lloyd Kaufman has not watched those films. So he started. His rules of Troma Productions are.
Only
safety to
Troma
humans.
Movies.
No, yes, only Troma. Safety to humans, safety to non-humans and other life. Make some art. Not make a good movie, or sometimes it's just make a movie. Like it's like it interchanges, but like not make a good movie, just make a movie. Like make some art.
So Lloyd won't watch that because
he says no safety. He texted me when we first he was like, I tried to watch the Terrifier. No safety to humans.
But hold on, but he knew
broke the first rule.
But he knew your story by then.
He didn't know the story. He just saw it. It was like no safety to humans.
You're like
he knew.
You're telling me, bud. You had to be nude a lot as a young.
Yeah, not
girl.
really anymore. Just those two, really. But
what how? What are your opinions on intimacy coordinators now?
I've never worked with one, so I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, because that was it. That one, and then in Long Lost, there's like that was also pre-Me Too, and there's a sex scene in that, but I haven't like intimacy coordinators only became like a thing, in the last 5 years. I really don't. I think it's in theory a great thing. I don't know what it's like because I've never worked with one.
Yeah.
I do think there's still a ton of things that happen that go wrong, and like,
absolutely.
The only way that changes is us talking about it and advocating, and like people who've gone through it, saying like this stuff shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't really have an opinion either way because I can't only speak to my experience. It sounds like a great thing.
Yeah.
I've never worked with them.
Did you see what's her name? Is it Mickey or Mikey Madison that did Anora?
It's M-A, isn't it M-I-K-E-Y? M-I...
I think it's
Mike. It's not M-I-C-K-E-Y.
I don't know, though. I don't.
Mikey Madison. Yeah, so she and Pamela Anderson did a Actors on Actors interview. Did you see that?
I haven't yet.
They spoke about it because Pamela asked her. She was like, did you have an intimacy coordinator on Anora? And Mikey said that she chose not to have one.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't think that should. I think,
but it was more of a method thing, right? She's like methodly.
I don't care. I think it should be required on every
people...
set because that's a really, really big studio movie, and there are really, really small budget films with actors and actresses that are going to get taken advantage of by people that don't have the best intentions in making their art. And it's not until the people at the top set the precedent for this should be the norm on every set that's how we. Avoid these issues in the future and trickling it down to the bottom.
It's so weird. I've not done really a lot of like sex scenes. Again, I've done nudity, but not really like a lot of. I've only done well, that's not true. I've done 2 sex scenes, 2, I think 2, yeah. And the first one was Newcomb High, and the second one was Long Lost. And I will say, the men in my experience. And I say this lovingly for everyone, especially for that actor that I did that scene with. He was more intense and tense and like stressed out about it than I was.
And that's what the intimacy coordinators are for.
Yeah,
they're for everyone.
Yeah, so I think like I don't know if that would have helped or not, but it does like they're not comfortable things to do, like It's awkward. It's weird. It never is sexy. So I think like I don't know if that helps or not. I think it just depends on like what you're.
I found it helps because it keeps it opens up the conversation.
Yeah.
Like even if the conversation is, we feel great. We're super comfortable. This is awesome. Like, love that you're here. I see, but like we can take like let's go through the choreo, but like we're good. Or like your co-star being really intense, an intimacy coordinator would be able to see that and to step in and be like, hey, should we run this? Like, do you want to go through the choreo?
Yeah,
like, should we go through step by step?
Like who he is as a person, but I do think it's like, it's hard to, I guess I'd equate it to though, recently I had a conversation with someone because I was producing a project and we had minors on set and, having been a kid actor, people were really excited because, one of the kids was emancipated, was like 16 or 17 was emancipated. And that's very normal in like the kid actor world where you get emancipated so that you can work as an adult, even though you live with your parents, even though your parents take care of you and your parents don't have to be on set and they don't have to have a teacher on set. Yeah. Usually you get your GED. And I really advocate against that because
kids shouldn't
like,
be
and everyone gets excited because they're like, oh yeah, it takes off so much pressure on the crew. But for every small production that's going to respect that, there's a ton that are not.
Exactly.
And child labor laws exist for a reason, and kids should have the opportunity to be kids for as long as they possibly can, especially in this business.
I agree.
So like I think like that's not a thing we should be like, oh yeah, about, you know what I mean? So I get what you're saying in terms of like intimacy coordinators. If we just set the precedent, then it becomes normalized. So if it's like, no, it doesn't matter if they're emancipated, child labor laws still exist and this is what we do. Like,
yeah, it should be baked in the budget. Like, I don't know, Stay at Home, which is a low budget film that we did, and Umbrella has worked on, and Madison Shipman. It was a one-day shoot, but she was just in a hot tub with a guy, and she had to take, and then her bra came. It wasn't a sex scene, but she did get killed. And in the kill scene, the intimacy coordinator was very involved, and it wasn't even a sex scene. It was a naked kill scene.
I honestly like having like done that. I agree, I would love to have an intimacy coordinator for stuff like that, because like to like your point with like the story I told, like we didn't have a stunt coordinator, we didn't have anybody. Like some of that.
What's more intimate than getting murdered naked?
Like it is like, and it's all such a like kind of wild thing that like, you know, it just, there's a lot of potential for stuff to just go wrong. Like there are so many amazing people in this business, and the vast majority of people are good people, but like there are, for every amazing person, there's also someone who isn't so great. And like if you can avoid that, you know, like if like I remember on one film I did, I won't name the studio, but it was like very early in my career, and there's a scene where like the two it's like another horror movie, and it's like the kids are like making out in the woods, very typical like horror movie stuff, and the killer comes, and then my character has to like run, right? And they wanted it to seem like she was like kind of like, you know, like they were like, you know, kind of getting it on a little bit, but it's in the woods, right? So like she's got her shirt unbuttoned, but she's got a bra on, maybe pants like kind of down, but like, so that's part of the running and the thing. Yeah. But like, and this is also like pre-Me Too, we go to like do it, and one of the producers came up and was like, you know, so like the director really envisioned this scene topless. And that was the very first time I really stuck up for myself, because I'd been through this a couple of times at that point, and I was like, oh, that's funny, because like I didn't. You know, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, you know, it's a topic." It's like it just doesn't make sense, like at all, for like the way you have. I'm not opposed to nudity at all in film. It's just like it has to make sense and enhance the story. That's not how, when you're in the woods, that's not how it goes. You know what I'm saying?
In the woods, it's like there's mosquitoes and shit. Like nobody wants to be fully naked in the woods.
And she's not doing that, you know. And he was like, "Oh, so you're, you know." Oh, it's okay if you're not comfortable.
Who was it that told you that?
It's not about me being comfortable.
No, not who, but like an assistant director.
It was one of the producers, and they were like, "Oh, if you're not comfortable with it, like, you know, we don't have to, like, you know, I'll just tell them you're not comfortable." And I said, you know, it's not that I'm not comfortable with it. I just don't think it makes sense. And you know, if we add a nudity element of it, that's a whole extra rider and a pay bump, and then I can get my agent on the phone, and we're on an overnight, and I don't want to do that to you guys. Like he's gonna be annoyed. I don't want to do that. You know, that's how I kind of like played it. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't like that. Yeah, let's not do that." Wow. Like that's kind of how it went. But if there was an intimacy coordinator there, that would have been their job. Would be like, "Well, no. Like I wouldn't have had to be the one about the paperwork. If we're gonna do that, this is like we have to stop everything." And like, do you know what I'm saying? And there is something nice, like it's really hard to advocate for yourself.
It is, especially when you're green, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
I was the reason I asked is because I was assistant director on a movie, and they had already shot some of the movie, so I was like one of a couple of assistant directors on the whole process of making this movie in Michigan. You know the story. And so this girl, they flew her in from California, from Los Angeles, and there was a scene in the bedroom where they were making out, and they were both clothed, but she got down to her bra. Yeah. And, you know, this was probably my third day on set. Like I said, they'd already shot half the movie. Yeah. Not with this girl. She was in like one scene. But the producers come up to me, and the director, they're like, "Oh, go ahead and go in that room and tell her that she's supposed to be naked." And and I'm like, "Me?"
Oh like, my god!
So I'm like the assistant director. I'm the assistant.
That's also like not like right. That's a tough.
I'm the assistant director, and I'm like, I'm trying to prove myself too.
Were you first or second AD?
First.
Oh man.
And so I went in, and so I go in the room, and I talk to this girl. She starts crying, and so I go back and I tell the directors, and like they're just like, "We did not fly her from LA. She has a contract." I'm like,
"What's in the contract?"
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't get the contract. Like, where is it? And I'm like, she's crying, and then maybe she started crying. I know I had to go in there 2 times because we were shooting like the Video Village was in a completely different bedroom, so I had to go in there. And at this point, the boyfriend, the movie boyfriend, was like pissed off about that. He's like, "Who?" Like in my face, And I'm like, you know, I don't agree. I don't know what the contract says. I don't know anything. And then maybe she started crying at one point, but she started crying it was very uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable for me because this kid, the other actor, had been in the rest of the movie. I'm new. I'm not even familiar with this crew or these actors.
Oh my God.
And so he and so positive thing is the actor, the male actor stood up for her.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess they ended up compromising for some side boob, but like. It was very
funny how it like comes down like how much side boob.
No nip, no nipple.
And if there were an intimacy coordinator there, that would not have been your job.
That fucking I was ready. I was almost ready to walk too.
It's never the first AD's job.
No,
I'm like you guys.
That's an insane thing to ask an AD to do.
I got to a point. I'm like, you fucking deal with this, man.
Yeah.
Like this, you know, sending me in there to do that.
Michigan, she has none of her teams there. I especially think that intimacy coordinators should be in rooms for rehearsals for theater too, because on the set, you know, the sex scene is 1-2 days of filming.
Yeah.
If there's a sex scene in a play, you're doing that 8 times a week.
That's true. It's usually much more choreographed though, and like not as impulsive.
Totally. And
you know?
I think that that's where there's aspects of film that I wish were in theater, and there's aspects of theater that I wish were in film, and that is one thing where it's like in film they're kind of like, I don't know, go at it, and in theater it's like, no, this is a very choreographed thing because you guys have to do this every day, so you're gonna get really, really comfortable with it. And I think that should still be the thing for film, so that you can get through the scene really quickly and like you're not spending all day on it, because it is super choreographed and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That was a really long tangent, but
what are you talking about?
It's important.
It's really important to talk about.
Yeah, I think so. I don't care about nudity in movies. I'd rather sexual, like you know, sexual situations. And I think that's hotter. It's sexier. Like nudity. That's what I was saying. What is this? The 80s, 90s.
Well, I think it just depends on how you go in on it. Like I just wrapped a film. I don't want to like give too much away about what happens, but I replaced someone. The actress got hurt a couple days in, and they needed they needed to finish the film, and they were only like 1 or 2 days in, and so I was the replacement. And the way I approached the character was very different than how she approached it, and she wanted to do a lot more nudity, and I was like, I actually don't think we should. And it wasn't because I was like opposed to the nudity in it. I was just like, I think with who this character is, if you give up the nudity too soon, the tension and like the heightenedness of this entire story goes away.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't know what's going to happen anymore. It's already there. And we had this whole conversation about it, and that's what we ended up doing. And I think we actually, like, overall the team was like, this was the better. We didn't have any nudity in it, but it's really interesting because you can play
anticipation. Don't show the monster. Don't show the
like you said it earlier, like
curtain? You know, it's the Wizard of Oz thing.
Yeah,
you know.
You said earlier you were like, I'm only gonna do nudity if it actually like advances the script and if it's actually necessary. And I think did I talk about this last episode with Augie? But I did Equus.
Oh, cool.
And I was Jill.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. I just turned 20 that weekend, and I had to be naked in front of like 300 people, including all of my professors.
Theater,
and it was at Michigan, so there were like random college students that were coming in and being like waiting to talk to me after the show, and I was like, I hate this. But same thing, like in the rehearsals, like we rehearsed to just stripping to underwear up until like tech week, up until it was like the last dress rehearsal before going into the space, and or the last full run through before going into the space, and they were like, all right, it's nudity day, and so we ran it, and I pulled the producer aside. Her name was Violet, dear friend of mine, shout out Violet, and I was like, I'm only going to do this if it makes the play better. Like, because, you know, he has to be nude too.
Yeah.
Alan has to be nude. And so I was like, with John, who's my co-star, I was like, John's on stage, that's a naked man.
Yeah.
I'm on stage, I'm sexualized, and I'm 20. Like, no matter what, it's going to take people out of the play. So I will only do this if it will actually advance the story and if it makes the point of the plot hit harder.
Totally.
And we did it, and it was like unanimous. We all agreed. We were like, this is way better.
What I will say to bring it like back to Anchor Bay is like, Lloyd is an equal opportunity nudist. Like if he's gonna ask you to do it, he's not only gonna have like men
He directs
do it too.
naked?
He's done it like on camera. He will do it. Like,
that's cool.
And like for like he usually puts himself in them, and he does it.
That's cool.
I think in Nukem High he does like a Silence of the Lambs type thing where he like does a tuck and like he does it. Like
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I actually gave my buddy, it's one of my best friends, Spencer Charnas, some shit about that because they did they're like Spencer Charnas is the frontman for this band Ice Nine Kills. That's like a big horror band.
Yeah.
And they did a Silence of the Lambs song, and they did the video, and I was like, where was the tuck, man?
Yeah,
they did the song Buffalo Bill's listening to?
You bitched out.
You can't say I'd fuck me and not tuck your dick.
He didn't do it.
I'd fuck me.
Wow.
How did you hook up with Barbara? How did you get on a podcast? What made you?
Well, it's my show. I made that show.
Oh, you started the show?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, what a segue.
I give Barbara a lot of credit. Barbara is an incredible woman. But
hold on. No, I didn't.
Can we introduce what we're talking about so that the audience understands?
I'm doing that.
The show would not be the same without
No,
Barbara.
I said, how did you get hooked up with Barbara?
Okay.
Catherine has a podcast.
Catherine's got a podcast.
Scream Dreams that she hosts with Barbara
This is
Crampton.
so us.
James A. Janice.
This is so us.
Yes, and James.
Yeah. Well,
who is a Michigander.
Yes, he is.
This is the worst intro to a segment ever.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Barbara was the podcast is no longer with AMP Film, but Barbara was a development producer at AMP Film for a while, and I'd been talking about wanting to do something for a while, and I knew her. Actually, she was a really close friend of Nick Tucci, who it was one of the most important people in my life who passed away, was in Long Lost. And that's how I knew Barbara.
Okay.
And so when I came out here, she kind of just like made a point to like be in my life and have me around. And like the conversation came up, and it was around the strikes, and she was like, why don't we do it at AMP? And so she helped me kind of, her and the people over there helped me kind of like flush it out. And now it's no longer with AMP, it's an independent show, but yeah.
But how did James, because James has Dead Meat, so he's got.
So when we wanted to do it, I wanted to host it, but I'd never done something like that before. Barbara at the time, now she's much more front and center, but in the beginning she didn't want to be. So that's why we had these games that we came up with for her to do. And I would write the games, the scripts for the games every time. But we wanted a co-host, and also because all of us work in the business, so the idea is like if we couldn't film or whatever, like it could be fluid. And so we asked James, because James has the Dead Meat channel with his wife Chelsea, and they have the show, the Dead Meat podcast, and they are much more versed in this. And he said, "Well, why not me?" And we were like, "Why would you want to do this? You have such other things." But he like very graciously has been part of it, and yeah. And that's how that all happened.
Well, tell him to email Tom back, because Tom's been trying to get a hold of him. They have a lot of mutual.
I will.
Both Michiganders, both.
I will. He's so busy, like that.
Hey, Tom's busy too.
No, I agree. I don't know. Like I know that they are doing so much. Like if you go to the way that Dead Meat.
I know Dead Meat's pretty huge podcast.
It's massive. Yeah. It's huge. And
I want to know how it got that big.
My 9 to 5 is selling the podcast, and so he was like, "Oh yeah, it's a Dead Meat podcast." I was like, "Oh, I sell the shit out of that podcast."
They just, I mean, this is really for if he comes on. My understanding is that like they were just, college friends. They had a Drunk Disney YouTube channel. That's how it started. And then they decided they really love horror movies. They decided to try horror content, and they've just been at it for so long. I met Barbara at my very first horror convention. I also met James and Chelsea at this very same one. And there was like earlier days of Dead Meat, and they said that was one of their first horror conventions too. And so, yeah, it's just like they've just been doing it for a very, very long time, and they're so good at it. And they run their stuff like full productions. Their house has sound stages, full sets built in there that they like film on. They're incredible.
That's
people.
One of my
both James and Chelsea and their whole team.
This is my plight, is the audio. This is why I spend a long time. I'm like, how are these other how come their stuff sounds so good? And I hear a delay, and I will say
I do not do the audio on ours. We have a really great producer who does, and before that we also had really great producers who did. Tom is amazing, and Katie, who like did everything. So that's on. I can't tell you. I cannot take credit for the audio, but I don't know.
I know that.
And I'm sure James knows a lot more about it than I do. But I can't answer that question. I'm so sorry.
What inspired you to come up with the games every episode? And also, how long does it take you to write out everything for each episode?
God, it's so much work.
I bet. I was gonna do.
I don't know.
For this
like
one,
some days I'm
I
like,
can't.
did I? Why? Because we don't shoot like you guys do. We shoot. Tom has been there. We shoot 3 episodes in a day, 3 to 4 episodes in a day.
Damn.
So it's back to back to back.
That's so
we only because we can
That's what
only
we
get
should
us all
do.
together once. We've had to reschedule a bunch of times recently with everything because we can't get everybody. We all like have other jobs, so we can't get everybody together. Yeah. One day a month is like all we can really get, And so we shoot once a month, and at the time in the beginning. So it's a lot of prep, a lot of like research. Like you guys are unreal, and I don't do as much as you guys do. I'm very impressed. And the games were because Barbara at first didn't want to do that. So the idea was that like I wanted to give her something like special that she could do, and I thought it would be really like what a funny gag if like she's always from beyond to like hark into one of her famous titles and like pops in, a dream.
Yeah.
And I write and produce, so it was just like a fun exercise. But it's a lot like I got a little lazy with it, I have to say. I was writing like full personalized Mad Libs for every guest, and like that was so much work.
That was a lot.
That was so much work. It was easier during the strikes. Now we're like back to work. I like don't. I'll try. We'll see what happens. I would love to, if we like a dream would be like to get it to a point where we have like a good Patreon or Substack thing, and I can release all the games for everybody else to play. And, like,
that'd be fun.
I'd love to like animate the like little stories we've done, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like pipe dreams, like way down the line.
Come out with like an Audible book with all of them together and stuff. That'd be cool. You are producing a lot now. I was looking at your IMDb. And
I do produce that. I used to keep them very separate, and now.
How did you get into producing?
Or
did you always want to eventually produce?
When I was like, I don't know, maybe 20, I was negotiating a deal for myself. And I didn't have a rep at the time. I was in between reps, and a producer said to me, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just an actor." And he was totally wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. I've been doing it a long time, but I never wanted anybody to ever be able to say that to me ever again. So I just took whatever like below the line job I could get. So I've worked in like effects, I've worked in casting, I've AD'd, I've line produced. I've done a lot, and I just worked my way up from there. So like
line producing is fun.
I want to line
produce. The numbers are always changing.
I'm good at it, but I hate it.
I want to do it.
You don't want to do it all
so
the time.
bad,
line
but no one wants to produce it.
It's the most stressful thing. I started in the commercial space. That's like smaller. They're actually very big budgets for a lot less of a delivery, but especially when you come from like the indie world. I was an in-house producer for a commercial agency for a while.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and so like that's how I started, and that's like smaller scale shoots usually. Yeah. So
it's like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jillian,
ask her if she can take you under her wing. Jillian wants to produce, but obviously,
I just said that.
Actors,
but you're working here.
Actors.
I mean, like, just sit in on stuff. Like you learn.
I know.
There's so many different types.
I'm gonna shadow Tom.
There's so many different types of producers. There's talent producers. There's line producers.
In between, like Nukem, or maybe this was just after Terrifier, but you did a Hallmark holiday movie, which I did
3
watch.
of them. Yeah.
I watched The Last Christmas Home.
Oh, yeah, they changed the name of it. It used to be called The Last Christmas in Vermont, or Last Vermont Christmas, or something like that.
I think they changed it a couple times because I looked up
it's not on Hallmark
one.
anymore. It's just so weird. This is a question for Tom. I don't know why this happened. It was a Hallmark film. But the way Hallmark works is they have their in-house stuff, then they have stuff they license out, and then they release. So we were a Hallmark original, but like released through a different company, and then I guess our term was up. So now it's on other platforms as well. But it's on other platforms under a different name. I'm very confused. I don't know why this happened.
But you do have to get a Hallmark subscription to watch it.
It's so confusing to me. Like, I don't, but why is it a different name? Tom will have to explain. He would know. Why is it a different name?
Did you get paid less?
Not that I know of.
Right.
Like, I don't think so. I haven't checked the residual statement, but like.
Speaking of Terrifier 3.
Wait, I wasn't done talking about the last Christmas
I thought
film.
if I said speaking of, it was like, okay.
No, I'm not even asking a question.
Oh, all right.
Did you have to, like, there's so many questions I have, just mainly between, like, the difference between filming a Hallmark movie versus going into production for, like, Terrifier?
Well, I think I did Terrifier before I had done any Christmas movies. I did Christmas movies after that, which is interesting, but I don't think they would, maybe. I think Lifetime, well, Hallmark has different ownership now.
Were you showing some of the other actors the scene? Be like, here, this is the movie.
No, I never talked about it. I never thought anyone was going to see the
Did anyone come up to you and be like, you're in Terrifier?
Well, no, because Terrifier didn't come out yet. When I did my... every Christmas... Yeah, all the Christmas movies I did, no.
This one came out in 2018. And then Terrifier came out 2016.
Well, Terrifier premiered at the Telluride Film Festival in 2016. And then it sold out Lincoln Center in 2017. But I don't think it was on Netflix until like 2017, 2018. Like, it wasn't everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So it was once it was on Netflix, that's when it was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think people like put it together, and you got to understand like the casting people and the demos that are watching this are not like they're not putting it together. Now it's this thing. Now they do.
Now they're like, we would have never casted you in a
I don't think they would.
I don't think it's good for their brand.
Knowing that if someone just looked up a Hallmark actor,
Lifetime
like,
takes like more risks and stuff. Lifetime probably would. All the ones I did were for Hallmark at the time. Although Hallmark is like fairly progressive now. They're doing a lot of like queer stories. They have different ownership than when I was doing stuff there. So who knows? I'm open to it.
I know. I used to be a reader for Lifetime A&E, and some of those scripts were like very disturbing.
Like,
I don't know if they ever got made.
Lifetime's different than Hallmark, I feel. Lifetime will get weird.
I mean, I know my really good friend Scout Taylor Compton has done a few for Lifetime, and she did the Rob Zombie Halloweens when she was 18.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they will.
That's who she does the podcast with.
No,
Danielle
I'm saying
Harris.
Lifetime. Yeah. I think Lifetime for sure. Well, my friend was in a Lifetime movie where she
was at the Anchor Bay launch party.
Who?
Scott Taylor Compton.
Oh, she's the
best.
best.
Scott Taylor Compton.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna see her tomorrow.
I forgot what I was saying. Thanks.
Rewind it.
No, I was saying that I had a friend who did Hallmark movies. Oh no, my friend was in a Lifetime movie where she like was raped by her dad and was like in a basement forever. But Hallmark, I dated a Hallmark actor, and that's like he's like, I'm being sent to Argentina to film with a penguin.
Well, I think like nice. Hallmark Christmas is like, I always joke that it's the same. Like, okay, Christmas movies and horror movies, very similar. They're formulaic, like down to like the beats. They have conventions. They have diehard fans and huge merchandise followings.
There's holiday conventions.
Yes, there are Christmas cons and cruises, and they have people who watch who like are diehard, watch programming year round, but they also have like 1 month of the year dedicated to them. The only difference is one is the Midwestern mom with like her wine and her like don't bother me while I'm watching Hallmark movie sweaters. The other one is the kid in the Midwestern mom's basement. It's the same house though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
different television.
That's
same
so
house.
Interesting and true.
Speaking of, this is relevant. So Terrifier 3, Saint Nick of Bethlehem.
I know nothing. I've not even seen it. I'm sorry.
No, I want. Do you know Daniel Roebuck, who we talk about a lot on this show?
I know he played Santa Claus.
He plays Santa Claus in Terrifier 3, and he played Santa Claus in a movie that he directed called Saint Nick of Bethlehem.
Which is like a Christian movie,
yes.
right? Because he does a lot of Christian
movies.
He do be doing those.
But
see, he can cross over.
But hold on, I haven't gotten there yet. Rumor has it. Did it already happen? Do you know how it went? He had a double feature with those two movies.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
That's cool.
And I'm wondering. But now you say that they're not too dissimilar.
You should do a double feature.
People walked out. Don't even. Which one did they show first?
I don't know. Do you know which one?
They definitely showed the Bethlehem one first. They had to. There's no way in hell they would have stuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think of that? Was it a drive-in or was it just a theater? Drive-in. You know, and sometimes
I want to.
You know, leaving a drive-in.
I'd probably find the ad for it.
That's insane. Did he come up with that idea?
I think that was his idea.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
That's out. That's out there.
That's
but
amazing.
That's like I kind of want to ask him how many people left.
My grandma.
Because like, none.
My grandmother. She is no longer with us, but she was a Franciscan nun. That's a real thing in Catholicism.
Yes,
it
is.
And that's very Catholic. And she used to ask me, the only movie of mine that she ever saw was, or the only movies were my Christmas movies. And she used to ask me all the time. She'd be like, I'd be like, I'm working on something. She'd be like, can I watch this one? I'd be like, probably shouldn't. She'd be like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you grow up Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Have all that guilt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Pennsylvania Catholic is.
That's
like
Daniel
now,
Roebuck.
Because I grew up here in LA, so
Yeah.
I had two ushers, both named Margaret, both married to each other with a daughter named Annie. And
That's funny.
So I went to Michigan. People were like, "Oh, you grew up at Catholic school for 14 years?" I'm like, "Yeah, but not like Pennsylvania Catholic school."
You know what's really funny is for 1 month, Lauren Lavera and I went to the same high school. We didn't know each other. We're from the same. We're both from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And she's 2 years older than me, and St. Hubert's.
That's cool.
But I only went for a month because we moved. No. So I'm.
I went to St. Raymond's and I got kicked out in 8th grade.
Of course you did.
Oh wow.
Of course you did.
Well, but at the time there a nun was the principal, Sister Elaine. It was very tight knit, kind of tightly run little organization, and I just wasn't allowed there anymore. I had to go. I had the all the priests lived on the property.
Yeah.
It was very weird, and they had these little houses in the back.
They live in the rectory.
Yeah. And I went. I was asked if I went. Father Dowling, I think was his name. He asked me if I masturbated.
Ooh.
I was 12 years old. You know,
that's one of those guys who goes to the bad priest center or whatever. The
Yeah,
bad priest
but
home when they're caught. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't aware of that at the time, and they had asked me because I was I came there. I went there from a public school system as a punishment. My mom was like, "You're either going to go to military school."
Did you tell this guy off? Would he ask you that?
Yeah,
No, I told him, "Yeah, I do,"
Why?
because I had. And
but he's so creepy.
I think I told my mom. I don't remember, but anyway,
That's cool.
I feel like we have a lot of people on the show that went to Catholic school.
Yeah, we do.
So you moved. Where'd you move?
We moved to the suburbs. So I graduated from a public high school.
Then you went to public school.
Yeah.
But you only went to Catholic school for.
Yeah, I didn't go to. I just went to a regular elementary school, so it was only a month. But we had to do CCD, which is I don't even know what that
Bible
stands
study.
for. Once a week.
Oh, see, we just had religion class.
Yeah.
So
Did you play games too?
In CCD?
Yeah, don't they have study and then kickball?
I didn't play kickball.
Sardines?
No, we didn't do any of that. I remember it was
Sardines.
it was
we
like
played Heads Up
school,
7 Up.
but worse because it was more school after school. You
Oh, I know.
On a Sunday.
No, we had to go Monday nights.
Oh, that
but-
sucks.
That's them. That's getting to heaven school.
Right.
Have you ever played sardines? You know what sardines is?
Probably.
It's like hide and seek, but backwards.
What?
It's when you find the person.
You all find one person?
Yeah, you all got to find one person,
That would give
but
me
you
so
split
much
up and
anxiety.
find person, and then you have to hide with them.
Oh my god, that would give me so much
And
anxiety.
then you become like sardines.
Damn, that's crazy.
We played
You went
that.
to a fun one. We didn't do that.
No, well, no, that was at that wasn't at school. That was at the Wednesday night. There was in my suburbs where I grew up. There was a
Game night?
no. It was like a
Bible study?
it was Bible study and games, but it was
Oh,
called
wait, you went Youth group?
called? It was like a youth group, but it was called.
Yeah, I knew kids who did youth groups. Those looked
Those were
fun.
cool. You went there to talk to girls.
The ones in
Yeah.
California were mainly just to get together and smoke weed.
Oh, okay, see.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
That sounds about right.
yeah.
All right.
Well,
else
so what
you
are
got?
you excited for that's coming up?
What am I
What
excited
should the
for?
listeners get excited for to see you in?
Oh my gosh. Right now, I don't know what I can talk about. I just
Can you
did
talk
this-
about If It Bleeds?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
sure.
I know Matthew Hirsch.
Oh, you know Matthew.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where they're at with that. That's an anthology style thing.
He came to dinner with
that-
Leatherface.
That
With Sean Heights. Well, the last one he did. So he did Night of the Missing.
I'm here to report a missing person. So many. Have you found any of them?
Some of them disappear without a trace.
Vanished.
do you know all these things?
Oh, no.
That was on Screenbox with Jenna Canal.
Yeah, which premiered at my it didn't premiere, but it played at my buddy Sean Heights, who did his first film festival in October called Happy Fright Film Festival in Fillmore.
Oh, cool.
Which is a cool little town for a film festival. It was
that's
actually
really cool.
And so that's where I met Matt, and then he had Plastic Men or so. So Plastic Men played at like a week after we played at the Lemley, the No Host 7.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
yeah, they're a fun little group. They're like doing a lot of like small things, kind of like skin of their teeth, and like that one came about. Like we knew the strikes were about to happen, and he reached out, and it was a cool idea, and I really liked. I knew Justin Miles through Jenna. Jenna Cadell is one of my best friends, and they're both in the Atlanta scene, and like we co-star in that, and then it's just gotten bigger and bigger. The cast is like pretty incredible. It's like Doug Jones and Dee Wallace and like.
And it's anthology, so they're just shooting.
So it's like it's all, it exists all in the same world, but it's anthology style, if that makes sense.
I think Night of the Missing is.
Night of the Missing is an anthology, I think. And then what else did I do? I did Big Baby, which is produced by Cher, which is super cool.
Whoa.
And that's Spider One's film.
3 Days
with
Rising.
Chrissy Fox. I don't know what's going on with 3 Days Rising, I have to be honest with you.
Mickey Rourke, Ice-T, Peter Green, Frank
That's
Whaley.
A funny cast, yeah.
That's like a dream cast from like 1992.
I know, we shot that before the pandemic. I have no idea what's going on with that, honestly.
I could see Peter Green and Mickey Rourke
and then
like getting into a fight. Did they fight?
Not that I remember. But
Can't you see those two like
ago.
just going head to head?
And then I did this film over the summer called Jackalope with that has a cool cast. Howie Mandel is loosely involved in that, and that's kind of cool.
Do you find it hard to like if you're casting something with your producer mindset? Like, are you always trying to learn?
It makes me so much better.
Huh?
I think it makes me so much better.
But do you find yourself helpful in any way, or like wanting to step into the?
I'm really
role?
efficient. Like people are always surprised. Like I'll say this, and this will never happen again. But I get things like on the first one a lot, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we got it." And that's just because like I think it's like when you work below the line, like you can see all the moving pieces, so you're just very aware of everything. So at least technically, we'll get it on the first go usually.
Right. But they'll want a second take anyway.
Or if I want to do something different, but like I will make sure that you get what you need. Like it's not going to be me if we're going to have an issue. I'm pretty like big on that with myself. It's just pressure I put on myself, just because I don't want to inconvenience everybody else. Not like I can't make mistakes, just that I don't want it to be me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you're still doing the podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh, what I also did, no, I can't talk about that yet. It's not announced. Never mind.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna give you one. Not yet.
Oh, not yet. We'll have you back on.
We'll look it up on IMDb.
No, yeah, once it's announced.
But Screen Dreams is still dropping episodes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We're trying. We're in a weird hiatus right now, coming back from the holidays and the fires and stuff. We'll get there. Though.
Do you guys have to? But do you have episodes that are? We
have episodes in the can. Yeah.
In the can. That's what I want to do.
And
you gotta like burden yourself out.
I gotta edit this one. I gotta edit this one and have it done like Monday. Tuesday.
You got your work cut out for you.
There's so much good stuff.
Okay, so what I was just gonna ask you is, because you grew up in Pennsylvania, when you first moved out here, did you miss the Halloween season, the fall?
Yeah, but when I first, so I've only been out here about a little under 3 years, and Terrifier was a thing, and so it was like Nuco High for me at that point. So I get booked on horror conventions around that time. So a lot of them are on the East Coast, so I got to do spooky stuff.
Oh, shit.
So like
cool.
the year before, I went to Salem for the very first time.
Oh, cool.
It's around Halloween. So like stuff like that I get to do. Like I don't, and it is like, it's so much of my life that I feel like I'm almost like, I'll regret saying this because it's like, there will come a day where I'll miss it, but it's almost like I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted after Halloween.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after Halloween, because it's like the lead up is so busy for me.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, there's always something coming out. There's always like conventions. There's always other people's things. There's events. There's parties. And like we know the people who work in these, so they're like, you know, it's all kind of like.
But then Christmas might kind of be busy for you too. I mean, do you get involved with any of that?
It used to be. It's not as much anymore because I haven't had a Christmas movie come out in a while. But I've thought about seeing if I could do a Christmas convention because that would be fun. Like such a change of pace.
That would be.
Yeah.
And you know what? They always the Christmas conventions, they dress up more. Like we wear our t-shirts and jeans for ours. The Christmas conventions, like they dress up.
That's fun.
And they have like cute photo ops like that are like fancy.
That's so fun.
Yeah, they don't do that. But that would ruin my I'm such a good packer. Like I only have a carry-on. I'd have to have like real clothes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, horror conventions, you can just wear jeans and a t-shirt. It's fine.
How many conventions do you go to on average a year?
I mean, every year it gets a little bigger. It also depends on if you have like a release or like an anniversary of a film or whatever. We try to do as many as we can. A lot of times it's just a scheduling thing.
What's like average? Like 5?
I mean, this year I think I already committed to more than that, which I will probably.
You're not like contractually obligated, are you?
No, I mean, kind of. Like, they know if you have to work, the films come first. So a lot of times you have to cancel. That's why you see that happen sometimes. Yeah. But we try to do as many as we can. I mean, what a cool opportunity to like connect with people, and like that doesn't happen. And there, you know. Right now, people are really excited about your film, but next year there'll be another film that people are really excited about. So, you know, try to connect with people while you can, you know. But it's a burnout for sure. So, like, I'm so grateful for it, especially during the strikes and things like that. That has kept a lot of people's careers, like, afloat. And, you know, their homes afloat and their families afloat and things like that. So I'm super, super grateful for them. But, yeah, I mean, you can only do so much. Yeah. You know, I'm only one person. You know? So we try to do as many. You seem like
you could be too, though.
You seem like I could be too. I am a Gemini.
Not in like a split personality way. Just in a.
I would like that would be
energetic
really awesome if you could just like split me in half. I would love to do that. If I had a superpower, it would be like that or time travel. I think. And not even
you kind of almost have that.
Time travel like back in time, like today, traffic was 2 hours. I could go you know.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That would be great because I could do more in my day.
Yeah, that's true.
If do you have what's your top 5 favorite horror movies?
Yeah, to wrap up. What's your letterbox? Let's do letterbox top
4 because 4 is not 5.
Nostalgically, my favorite growing up was The Craft. I loved The Craft and I loved The Lost Boys. Those were my 2.
I love The Lost Boys.
I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer person.
The movie or the show or both?
But the show was like, as a kid, like I like my Bible, but like the original movie is great too. This year, The Substance was fucking unbelievable. So I also really loved Immaculate and The First Omen. By the way, I kind of wish they had melded them into 2.
The First Omen was so
They're
good.
Both so great.
But then I saw Immaculate first and I was like, oh, it's the same movie.
I kind of wish, knowing both of those directors and loving them both dearly, I think they're similar stories, but like different challenges. Like The First Omen, you have to take on the studio system and established IP and so many other cooks in the kitchen.
That's true.
Like dealing with it. With the First with Immaculate, it's its own mythos. It's the first one, so there's not as many like things that you have to appeal to. I kind of wish they had like taken the story of Immaculate and let Mike and Arkasha co-direct it or something, because like I think the story of Immaculate is so cool, and again because it can be, and their approach on like Immaculate Conception is really cool. But I think like Arkasha, just as a woman, was able to like understand the horrors of like forced birth in a way that was really unique. I want like the crossover universe.
Yeah,
you know.
I feel that's so hard.
You know?
Because I did like both of them a lot.
I liked them both. I thought they were both really good. They're like this was a really good year. I think overall. But I also like in past years I loved The Witch. I loved The Babadook.
That was so good.
I loved Get Out. There's so many films. Jenna Cannell, who's I can't like plug her enough. My co-star in the original Terrifier, but also just like such a fucking badass human being and one of my best friends, has this film called Faceless After Dark. That's like a really cool meta clown slasher.
Jillian
Sorry.
can't watch it.
But it's really good. It's feminist. It's a cool take on the genre. It's very self-aware, very Terrifier adjacent. It's really good.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Is that
film.
out?
Yeah, I have a little part in it.
Faceless After Dark?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what it's
That's a
called.
cool name.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's very
Sounds like psychological.
very similar. It's like very drawn from her own personal experiences.
Why is she one of the
She
creators?
wrote it,
She
and
wrote it?
she's the protagonist in it. It's directed by Raymond Wood.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to look out for that.
And if the listeners wanted to look out for that, and if they wanted to follow you, where can they find you?
On the social medias, I'm not the best, but I try. It's Insta Catherine
Cool.
on Instagram, TikTok Catherine
Love.
on TikTok, and on I don't know what it is on Blue Sky. That's the one I'm on now.
Catherine at Blue Sky Catherine?
Blue Sky
Catherine.
I don't
Listen,
know.
you're busy
Maybe-
enough. You're too busy to come up
I'm
with
not
creative
good at
Instagram
these. I'm not
names.
good at. I'm on them. I try really hard to be good at them. I'm terrible at them, but I try.
That's all right.
So bear with me if you're trying to get in touch with me there.
Well, Catherine Corcoran, it's been so lovely having you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this was great.
Is so fun.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I'm
very
glad.
fun, very informative, very cool.
Oh, thanks.
I learned so much.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I had a great
Did
time.
we do okay?
You
Are
guys
we?
are great. You guys
Great.
are awesome. This
See?
is
I know
so
from
good.
one podcast host to the other podcast.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
guys are great. Fabulous. Giving me a run for my money, that's for sure.
No, and please check out Scream Dreams on YouTube and everywhere you find your podcasts.
Ah, thanks.
All right.
Fun.
Fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for dealing with me.
On the blackest nights we sail through fog. Two voices echo from the salty bog. With tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the wheel, listen to Jive. The Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams. In Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Now here's your hosts, Josh and Jillian. Yeah.